Welcome to Market Pulse by SC Securities and Daily FT. As usual, our effort is to bring you the expert insight for you to have a better pulse about the equity markets of Sri Lanka. And today, our focus is on a prominent and influential listed entity catering to the construction sector with a redefined excellence and innovation. They have made themselves positioned as the market leader for the wood coating in Sri Lanka with a very strong global presence, which is none other than JAT Holdings PLC. To talk about JAT, we have with us today the visionary leader and the managing director of JAT Holdings, Mr. Aelian Gunawardene, and the chief executive officer, Mr. Nishal Ferdinando. Aelian, Nishal, welcome to Market Pulse.
Thanks. Thank you, Dilusha.
So, Aelian, to start off, first of all, congratulations on completing 30 years and celebrating 30th anniversary of JAT Holdings. And to start off, let's talk a little bit about the inspiring journey of JAT Holdings for the past 3 decades.
Yes, certainly. Very interesting subject. I founded JAT Holdings 30 years ago, as you said. It all started when I was working at another paint company as the marketing manager for this paint company. And I was looking after the industrial market, all the furniture manufacturers at that time. When I realized that there wasn't a high-end wood coating in the market, we had a very inferior and primitive kind of system, which was based on nitrocellulose, which is a single component wood coating. And when you have single component wood coatings, what happens is the coating dries when the solvent evaporates. So if any corrosive substance, solvent or anything falls on it, it dissolves the coating. And we had polish and even more primitive coating. So I thought it was the right time, this was 30 years ago in 1993, when we actually introduced more superior wood coatings to the market, like 2-component polyurethanes, for example. And I went and spoke about this to my board at that time. And, like most large companies, the board was discussing about it, but there was a lot of procrastination that actually started my entrepreneurial journey. And when they were taking time over it, I thought, why not me? And that's when I started JAT. So that was the start, to bring in 2-pack polyurethane coatings instead of just the normal nitrocellulose to the market. We started, of course, with a company of 2 or 3 of us. And today, we've, after 30 years, grown to about 400 employees. So it's been a steady and really fantastic growth. We started with obviously Sri Lanka being our primary market. And now we've gone into different markets in the world. We've gone into a lot of markets in the subcontinent and African countries with much more plans for the future. In 2021, we listed the company. Now JAT is a public quoted company, and that's something we are very, very proud of. So the journey has been from a typical, single owner, proprietor kind of company, now grown to a listed company, which is run by Nishal, our CEO, now handling the whole operation of the company as our CEO. So it's moved from a typical family-oriented company to a large corporate.
That's indeed very inspiring. And Aelian, as you mentioned, now you are in several countries at the moment. But you are the market leader in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Maldives, all 3 countries in wood coating. What is about the product portfolio? What do you have? And in each of these markets, what kind of a market share you control?
Yes, so all these markets, whether it was Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or Maldives, was in that same primitive stage when we went into each and every one of them. When we came into Sri Lanka, I told you we had only nitrocellulose. When we went to Bangladesh, we didn't even have nitrocellulose. We had just polish, where the coating was applied with a wet. In the Maldives, they were using just, again, French polish on their exterior timber. And that was very, very inferior. I mean, the outdoor or UV resistance of that is very, very poor. So what happened was when we went into different markets like Bangladesh and Maldives about 20 years ago, or a little more than 20 years ago, we had to again bring the same learnings that we had from Sri Lanka with the two-pack polyurethanes initially to convert what they had, which was very primitive, to a high-end wood coating. And thankfully, those markets were more receptive to change, and what we did was, like we do with all our markets, we send our technicians, we base them there. I personally travel every month almost these markets in order to find the right customer, find correct distributors and so on, and introduce our product. And we, of course, subsequently, over time in 1998, the year 2000, we introduced water-based coatings as well. Then in Bangladesh, we introduced PU coatings. So the range of coatings we introduced has helped us to keep a market share of, now in Sri Lanka, we have about 55% market. In Bangladesh, we have about 40% of the total market, about maybe easily about 80% of the high-end market. In Maldives, we control also about 40-50% of the wood coating market. So because we've introduced new technology, because we've introduced it with great technical service, we've been able to control that market and the market share.
Wonderful. And Nishal, we've heard about the recent addition to JAT Paints Africa Limited in Kenya to JAT Group. What is the objective behind JAT going into Kenya?
Right. So I think the same thing that Aelian said. Initially, when we went to Bangladesh, when we initiated in Sri Lanka, it was a primitive market. Now, Africa at the moment, it's at that same stage that Sri Lanka and Bangladesh were probably 20-25 years back. So we saw this as a strategic market where we could convert the market into high quality wood finishes. So with this, strategically the location was Kenya, but though it's Kenya, East Africa has a treaty where you have duty benefits and all of that. So though the head office is in Kenya, we are looking at Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, that part of the East African segment. So with this, we have a joint venture with a Kenyan company, and we launched JAT Paints Africa. And I think now we have probably sent about 2 to 3 containers there, and we have about 15 customers and some permanent customers now who have shifted. So the shift already has started from the primitive wood coatings to PU water-based. So we are very excited about this venture. And also it's the right time in Africa now, because Africa is probably going to see growth rates of double digits very soon, right? Especially a country like Kenya. So what we thought was, if we establish there and grow there, thereafter we can reach to the other countries. And we have started manufacturing there as well, right? So we installed our plant about a month back. And with this, so we are looking at Africa as one of our next emerging markets.
And also, Nishal, the JV in Saudi Arabia, that is a recent announcement to the stock exchange as well. And with this, you have incorporation. This is the incorporation of Walt Industries company.
Yes.
And I saw that it's entering into a totally different market from JAT. And this is into electrical vehicle chargers.
Yeah.
And what is the motive of JAT to go into a totally different market?
Right. So we have traditionally focused, and not traditionally, and also now we are focusing on our core business with a lot of backward vertical initiatives, forward vertical initiatives, and horizontal initiatives. That is with our core business. But we also have another objective, that we want our dollarized revenue to reach about 50% of our total revenue. So at the moment we are at around 30. So in about 2 years, we are looking at this 50%. So with this, and JAT being one of the pioneers in innovation, right? And we are not scared to do new things, right? So we saw EV chargers as a futuristic business. So we wanted to invest in a futuristic business, which also would result in a dollarized revenue. And what better region to do this than Middle East? because at the moment I think Middle East is the most thriving region in the world, right? So we collaborated with a very good partner in Saudi called Safari Group, and we have about 40% of this investment. And on top of that, we actually we have a technical partnership with a Sri Lankan firm for the technology that is headed by Dr. Beshan Kulapala, who was one of him and his team. So the entire team there were the ones who developed the supercar in Sri Lanka and also the EV charging network in Sri Lanka. So we have that expertise, and he is acting as the head of research there. So it doesn't diversify our sort of time and energy towards it, because there's a professional team running it and a very good JV partner who will take care of the Saudi the operations and the sales. So JAT acts primarily as an investor, and if you look at our investment portfolio, the percentage of this is about 10% of our total investment. So the balance 90 has been put back to the core business.
Okay, and one of the IPO promises was setting up the state-of-the-art manufacturing facility.
Yes.
And I think JAT has achieved that target way before the promised time period as well. And how does this manufacturing facility contributing to JAT, and what kind of a contribution you're looking at in the future with this?
So this manufacturing facility is in Bangladesh, right? And that was the promise that we made. And like I said in my previous question, we have invested a lot on our core business. And this is again another example of backward vertical integration, right? So I would say the timing of this was perfect, because though not as the economic downfall as Sri Lanka, Bangladesh is also going through a bit of an economic crisis. So they are curtailing imports, and they are also encouraging people to manufacture there. So in that sense, our timing has been excellent, and we managed to complete the manufacturing facility 1 quarter before what we promised, right? So with that, we have actually been able to capture a great market share as well from Bangladesh, because some of our competitors who were importers cannot import anymore, right? So this would, I would say, last about probably another 6 months, right? And the previous 6 months also this was there. So this 1 year is a good year for us in Bangladesh, and it reflects in our numbers as well. And not only that, Dilusha, we also, on top of the promise of manufacturing in Bangladesh, this is something that we did not say in the IPO. Again, we have gone back to the raw material. The main raw material that is required to manufacture solvents is alkyd resin. We are also manufacturing now the alkyd resin, right? Or we are going to start manufacturing the alkyd resin, and we invested in an alkyd resin plant in the same premises of where we have our factory. So that helps the logistics, plus it helps us with our margins as well. So I think this project would complete in the next 4 to 5 months. And so we are very focused on Bangladesh, and we see that opportunity in Bangladesh, and we are very excited about that opportunity as well.
And Aelian, as Nishal also correctly mentioned, we are going through an economic crisis, and some would say it is not the right time for business. And JAT is catering to the construction sector, and construction sector, together with the economic crisis, facing some challenging time. And what do you expect in the future, where the construction sector would lead to?
Yes, I'm in one of the first sectors to actually suffer when the interest rates went up the way it went up, when the currency devalued, was the construction industry. Because obviously all our raw material from steel, cement, and even tiles and all that went up by about 80%. The interest rates going up to 30% was another issue, because even if the developers can develop, the buyer needs to be able to borrow at reasonable interest rates to buy. So that was a big issue for companies like us who were supplying the construction industry. But the advantage JAT has over a lot of these other companies is we have a refinish market. Say if you're doing steel, you can only give steel to a new construction. If you're doing paint is also used for companies or or households who want to refinish. And I would think about 70-80% of our business is the refinish market. So if anybody has finished their house with white by JAT or with our Aelian wood coatings or JAT wood coatings, every so many years they would want to refresh the coating. And that market was there to a certain extent. Or didn't dip as much as the new construction market. I'm a part of the Condominium Developers Association, and we have about 8 of us who act on the executive committee, about 30 members of it. And the construction industry went through a bit of a problem because also the government introduced a 15% VAT on new apartment sales. But we see that now now all those construction companies, all those developers are starting to develop again, including JAT property. JAT has a JAT property division, and we are starting 2 projects, 103 houses in Hantana and 112 apartments in Thalawatugada. So all the developers are starting again, and we see that times can only be better. Having said that, even through a tough year, we did well.
Great. So Nishal, as the CEO of the company, you might have been facing challenges of inflation going up and the interest rates going up, the finance cost of the company is rising, and the construction cost is rising. So how did you maneuver through all these challenges and still made sure that JAT is making profits and growing?
Yeah. So these were the 3 main challenges, like you correctly said, that I think any company in Sri Lanka faced. And if you take JAT, I think we are blessed because especially when it came to the interest rates and the finance costs, before the IPO or prior to the IPO, also we were cash positive. Thereafter, we went for the IPO in 2021 and we got a certain amount of funds from the market. So with this, additionally, we had excess funds where we could invest as well as we did not feel the pinch of the interest rates going up. Even when it went up to about 30-35%, actually it was advantageous because we had excess cash as well. So that was one way that we countered the interest rates, and we didn't feel it because of that. And we used it to our advantage for our growth in the company. Then if you take the inflation going up, again, when inflation goes up, the disposable income as well comes down. So again, the timing of our R&D center, I think that was that helped us a lot, because with the R&D, we introduced many initiatives that brought down the cost of the product, right? Or the value for money of the products. We gave a better proposition to the end customer. So here some examples were, we introduced a white paint that is at a lowest price point with a very good quality, right? So this actually helped a lot of people to purchase again, because when they were ready to paint, they found it a bit difficult to purchase a normal paint. So this actually countered that. Then we also developed a 3-in-1 wood coating product, where traditionally you have the stain, the top coat and a base if needed. But this 3-in-1 incorporates all of these 3 elements together, and it doesn't have the great finish that we usually do, but it has a very good finish that is suitable for ceilings, pergolas, where you see it at a certain distance or certain height, right? So this actually helped and got a lot of traction in the market. And another very interesting initiative was for the white by JAT paint, right, which is our flagship brand in the decorative sector. We gave a 8-year warranty for the first time in Sri Lanka. Again, this was through the research that we did with our R&D center. Right, so the R&D center, while we invested heavily in great equipment, I would say state of the art, and probably definitely not in this country, even South Asia, I don't think has some of the equipment that we do. And we invested a lot in the resources also. About 15 to 20 world-class chemists work in the R&D center. So they developed this for the first time, right? We call it the color guard technology. And we introduced this to the market as well. So someone who has to repaint within 3 years, now they don't need to repaint, and they can, the paint lasts for 8 years, which I would say even including external paint or exterior paint, right? So these were some of the initiatives we did. And I would say with this, we also did not forget to look after our staff. We did not retrench any job at JAT within the last 3 to 4 years, amidst COVID, amidst Easter attacks, amid the economic downturn, nothing like that. We even, not only did we not retrench, we gave increments every single year, we gave bonuses, right? While expanding, we looked after the staff and we relocated certain staff to our overseas projects and we restructured that way. We didn't downsize, which a lot of companies did, right? So I think that is another way that as a CEO, how I managed the company. And as a result, right, year on year, we had 2 of the best years or the best years in JAT from the top line and the bottom line, both last financial year and the previous year, where we actually, all of these strategies that I told you, it actually materialized to the results.
Great. And Aelian, now we have seen that the export revenue of JAT has been increasing over the years. And what are your plans to the future? You have any plans of entering into new markets when it comes to export revenue generation?
Yes, certainly. So for us, this year we would be making about, say, 30% of our revenue. Our bottom line would be export oriented or dollarized. Next year, we hope that to push that to about 50%, and then year on year increase that. And to do that, we have to make quite a substantial amount of investments, to develop markets like we have done now in Africa, and even in Bangladesh, getting our manufacturing not only for the production of the paint, but the alkyd plant, like Nishal said. In Sri Lanka, we've gone in for a binder plant. So we will produce product in Sri Lanka that can be exported, at a very competitive rate, and therefore increase our revenue, our export revenue. And in addition to that, we're also looking at the ASEAN region. We're looking at markets like Vietnam, Indonesia, and that part of the market, where we can expand our wood coatings, because those markets have huge potential with wood coatings. And we've already gone and done some research where we will be looking at that very seriously. We've gone into Australia with our furniture range of product, signing our joint venture there and starting our showroom to start our kitchen business there, because in Australia, the housing market is really booming, especially in Western Australia. We've started with Western Australia. Western Australia, the housing market is booming at a tremendous pace. There's one project we're working on which has 11,000 houses and apartments. And all these people like to work with companies like ours, because the Australian furniture manufacturers, it's like Sri Lanka, a bit unorganized. And when it comes to a large order of supplying, say, 300 kitchens at one given time, or wardrobes or vanities, that is not possible there. And with our supplies that we do from Germany, we can easily achieve this target. So for us, improving our export revenue is very important, and we have invested accordingly in order to get that revenue going. Plus, like Nishal said, with Volt Charge and the EV charging business, Saudi Arabia, as we all know, is investing a hell of a lot of money in renewables and going green, yes, with that NEOM city and so on. So for us, these investments that we're putting in last year and this year will really will be seen in the 24-25 numbers of JAT.
Excellent. And so Nishal, JAT is investing heavily on technology. And at the same time, you have to ensure that the company is growing and making profits as well. So how do you strike a balance between these high investments and making profits?
Yeah. So basically, we need to continuously invest in technology for two main reasons. One is JAT is on the verge of taking on the world, right? We have expanded in South Asia, and we are now looking at Africa, the ASEAN markets, Australia, Middle East, all of these countries. So when we go to these countries, one thing is we need our R&D to be top notch, because the products reflect what the R&D puts into it, and the digitalization process also needs to back our processors, especially in these countries. So that is one main reason. The second reason is, even in Sri Lanka, if you take the top 4 to 5 companies, they are large multinational paint companies. So as a 100% Sri Lankan company, we need to compete with them even in our homeland. So with this, we consciously, we understand that we have to invest in technology. But like our numbers show, though we are heavily investing, we have always fulfilled the numbers that we have promised to the investors in terms of profitability, in terms of turnover. So I think this again is because we do our fundamentals right? And this is a part of a great strategic plan. This is not something that is haphazard. This is not something that we, think every financial year. We have a very robust 5-year plan which we are executing at the moment. So in these, there are certain investments. The timing of the investments are very important, which it's in the plan. And then we know each year, due to these investments, what is the hit that we are taking in the profitability, and we counter it by certain other initiatives to increase that or to balance that profitability. And we know which years we will have a high profitability as well. So we invest in even in things like training, our staff, all of that, in order to match that profitability. So the number game that we play, I think, is a result of a great senior management team that we have and a staff that backs us fully. Like I told you earlier, during the tough time, when a company stands for your staff, then the staff does anything for you, right? Because they know, we are not a multinational company, but as a Sri Lankan company, during these tough years, we stood by our staff. So they back us fully. So our suppliers, right, we managed to pay them all on time, even when the financial system was, in utter state, right? Yet we managed to pay them. So they have that respect, and they also are a part of our vision. So all these stakeholders are part of a vision, and in that vision, they are a part of a certain plan, right? So I think that makes it easy for us to invest heavily in technology while balancing the numbers, and probably one of the few companies who do that. And on top of that, we pay a dividends of 40% as well, right? So I think that combination is quite unique to JAT. And I think I'm proud of the fact that we could do all of this, right, simultaneously. Yeah.
Great. And Aelian, last but not least, now Nishal mentioned about the dividends as well. JAT is a listed entity, and what can the investors look forward to in the future?
Yes, so for us, we're at this enviable stage of, even with all this investment, we are with a positive cash flow. That's very creditable on the team, I believe. Not very many companies, can boast of that. And that's why we are actually paying this 40% dividend, in fact, in spite of the investments we're making. And we every year maintain that, and we intend maintaining that, so the shareholders can depend on that. So we're not paying the dividends at the expense of our progress or expansion. Now we are number 2 in the paint industry, I believe, in Sri Lanka. We intend to be number 1. We intend to, like we discussed, expand to different territories and different product ranges in the international market. We have obviously gone into forward and backward integration, which will also add to the bottom line of the company, so increasing our GPs of the product. So all our shareholders and stakeholders as well can really look forward to JAT being a strong company, and we would believe that who those shareholders of ours who are there for the long term will stand to benefit tremendously.
Wonderful. And I think the investors would be looking forward to that future with confidence. And thank you very much, Aelian, Nishal, for joining with us and sparing your insights with us about the company. And I think that would help the investors to make decisions in the future. Thank you very much for watching Market Pulse, and we will be back with another exciting episode soon. Thank you very much.